شكرا جزاك الله خير بارك الله فيك. Don't forget ذكرني ها بعد الدرس.
Before Salah or after?
Either or, just don't let me forget. No, that means, they're welcome. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا وإمامنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. أما بعد. Last night's class was on what? Fiqh al-Hadith from Al-Lu'lu' wal-Marjan. Hadith that have both been agreed upon by Al-Bukhari and Muslim. And we're discussing what? Salih, Ghibta, Khalid. Hadith of Aisha. Or about what?
I forgot the whole.
Talib.
We spoke about what we take from the
Sharif. التيمم. أحكام التيمم. تيمم نعم. Rulings of tayammum. Such as what?
Why it was revealed.
Why it was prescribed. The ayah that was sent down regarding the story behind that hadith. And the wisdoms and the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal upon His servants. Regarding the story, regarding the legislation of tayammum. Now, how it's critically important for us to dig deep and scratch beneath the surface when we study and we learn things. Everything that we do that's technical has to be based upon and has to go back to that which is spiritual. Now, and that which we do that is spiritual has to be refined and structured upon that which is technical. Everybody understand this? Very important. We've spoken this before as well in Islam. Spirituality and technicality. 1-2 punch of the Muslim. And most Muslims that have went astray, whether they've totally went astray outside of Islam, they're no longer Muslims, even though they say they're Muslims. Muslims who have went astray, but they're still in the realm of the fold of Islam, who have left the Sirat al-Mustaqim, you'll find is one of these two reasons. Too much spirituality, not enough technicality. Too much technicality, not enough spirituality. People that get caught up in memorizing, studying names, titles, groups, scholars, this and that, politics, economics, refutations, whatever it is. Too much technical things. And they forget about their spirits. They forget about the spirituality of the deen, to worship Allah, to serve Allah. Whatever you're talking about, whatever you're doing, is supposed to make your heart soft and tender. It's supposed to make you a better slave of your Lord, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Making money, making businesses, investing money, real estate, buying property, making a huge, gigantic center and building for the Muslims is not meant just for the formalities of it, but it's for us to worship Allah correctly and properly and better. Everybody understand this? A hole in the wall masjid, in which the Muslims make their salah correctly, learn correctly, practice correctly, and they are closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is better than a huge, gigantic facility in which the Muslims' hearts become like rocks and they become self-centered and stuck upon the dunya, and that's the purpose of our creation, is to have a nice place. Everybody understand this? The spirituality has to be based behind the what? The technical things. Muslims need money, Muslims need lawyers, Muslims need doctors. There's no doubt about that. If you're not spiritual, why you travel and learn hadith and study and go through all of these hardships and difficulties except because you're a slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Why refute someone that has erred, that has strayed, that has made a mistake, that's called into innovations, except for the purpose of making you a better slave? Spirituality. So the technicalities have to be backed upon what? Spirituality. That's the whole reason behind everything. And the spirituality cannot be done off of just desire. What you think, what you feel, what feels good. A good person, he was a good person. I have a connection with God. I don't have a religion. I don't have a faith. I just have a spiritual way. No, there are rules. There's revelation. There has to be science. There has to be things that teach you and instruct you and guide you and lead you. Everybody understand this? So there has to be a balance. Everybody clear on this? Has to be what? A balance. A tayammum, the rulings of tayammum. Why tayammum? All of these different things, this hadith, Shafi'i, Bukhari, Abu Hanifa, so on, these are technical things. But the purpose of learning those technicalities is for what? Spirituality. It's to worship Allah Azza wa Jal and to realize what Allah has given you and done for you and blessed you with. Now, and the spirituality, the internalization of the deen, it cannot be done with hawa. It cannot be done what you think and what you feel. What the forefathers and ancestors did. But it has to be based upon knowledge. Has to be based upon a divine source. So that's extremely important in any aspect of fiqh that you study. Any aspect of fiqh that you what? That you study. Khairan inshallah. What else did we speak about last night? The fawaid of that hadith. First and foremost, the virtue of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. Also the virtue of Aisha radiallahu anha also. You have to love your religion more than your own family. And the sunnah has to come before your own blood, before your own ancestry or ethnicity, where you come from. Deen first, before family. Tayyib. What else do we speak about? Khair inshallah. That's enough. Let's move forward tonight, bidnillahi ta'ala, from Bulugh al-Maram. Still reading from Bab al-Kifa'ati wal-Khiyar, the chapter of compatibility and right of choice. طيب. Hadith number 856. The author rahimahullah, he says, وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال يا بني بياضة أنكحوا أبا هند وانكحوا إلي وكان حجاما. رواه أبو داود والحاكم بسند حسن. وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال يا بني بياضة أنكحوا أبا هند وانكحوا إلي وكان حجاما. رواه أبو داود والحاكم بسند حسن. Hadith 856 says, narrated Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, the Prophet ﷺ said, O sons of Bayalda, marry to Abu Hind, between parentheses, some of your women, and marry from him women, his daughters. And yet he was a cupper. Abu Dawood and Al-Hakim with a good chain of narrators. Once again, Hadith 856, narrated Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, the Prophet ﷺ said, O sons of Bayalda, O tribe of Bayalda, O clan of Bayalda, O family of Bayalda, marry to Abu Hind and marry from him. And yet he was a hajjam, someone who gives hijama, someone who cups. This hadith has been reported by Abu Dawood and Al-Hakim bisanadin hasan. The author says, with a good, fair chain of narrators. Khairan, inshallah, we get started, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, with the reading and the memorization of the hadith. Very simple, very easy hadith to memorize. It'll take you less than 5 minutes, bi'idhnillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال. وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال. يا بني بياضة، يا بني بياضة، يا بني بياضة، يا بني بياضة، يا بني بياضة. وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال. يا بني بياضة، يا بني بياضة، أنكحوا أبا هند، أنكحوا انكحي أسامة، أنكحوا أبا هند، أنكحوا أبا هند، أنكحوا أبا هند، أنكحوا أبا هند، انكحي أسامة، انكحي أسامة، أنكحوا أبا هند، وانكحوا إليه، وانكحوا إليه، وانكحوا إليه. وكان حجاما، وكان حجاما، وكان حجاما. وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال. يا بني بياضة أنكحوا أبا هند وانكحوا إليه، وكان حجاما، وكان حجاما. رواه أبو داود، رواه أبو داود والحاكم، 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 والحاكم بسند حسن، بسند حسن. وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال. يا بني بياضة أنكحوا أبا هند وانكحوا إليه، وكان حجاما. رواه أبو داود والحاكم بسند حسن. وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال يا بني بياضة أنكحوا أبا هند وانكحوا إليه وكان حجاما رواه أبو داود والحاكم بسند حسن. وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال يا بني بياضة أنكحوا أبا هند وانكحوا إليه وكان حجاما رواه أبو داود والحاكم بسند حسن. طيب، من حفظ الحديث؟ تفضل.
عن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم
تفضل لطفي، لسه نايا.
وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم قال يا بني بياضة أنكحوا.
طيب جميل، تفضل.
وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال يا بني بياضة أنكحوا أبا هند وأنكحوا.
خالد.
وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال يا بني بياضة أنكحوا أبا هند وانكحوا.
إسماعيل تفضل.
وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال يا بني بياضة أنكحوا أبا هند وانكحوا إليه وكان حجاما رواه أبو داود والحاكم بسند حسن.
أحسنت، جزاك الله خير. طيب next round, who wants to go again? تفضل.
عن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال يا بني بيضاء
يا بني بياضة
يا بني بياضة أنكحوا أبا هند وانكحوا إليه وكان حجاما رواه أبو داود والحاكم بسند حسن.
أحسنت، بارك الله فيك. صالح.
وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال
يا بني بياضة
أنكحوا أبا هند وانكحوا إليه وكان حجاما رواه أبو داود
والحاكم
بسند حسن.
صحيح، جزاك الله خير. أحسنت. Anyone else? خير إن شاء الله. Hadith says once more, Hadith number 857. وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال يا بني بياضة أنكحوا أبا هند وانكحوا إليه وكان حجاما رواه أبو داود والحاكم بسند حسن. Narrated Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, O sons of Bayadah, marry to Abu Hind some of your women, and marry from him, i.e. his daughters, and yet he was a cupper. Abu Dawood and Al-Hakim reported it with a good chain of narrators. The hadith tells us that the Prophet ﷺ is quoted to have said, making an address, calling out to people, addressing men, speaking to them directly. O tribe of Bayada, Ya Bani Israel. O tribe of Fulan, Ya Bani Abdul Muttalib. Ya Bani Bayada. O sons, O clansmen of Bayada. Ankihu Aba Hindin. Wa alaikum salam. This man whose name is Abu Hind. His kunya, Abu Hind. Could actually be his name. But here, in most cases, it's going to be his kunya. And the kunya is that which starts off with Abu or He said, Ya Bani Bayada, O children of Bayada, take this man whose name is Abu Hind and marry him off to your daughters, to your sisters, to your aunts, to your mothers, to your nieces, to your cousins. Marry him off. Allow this man to marry into your tribe. Wankihu ilayhi. And also, vice versa. And also what? Vice versa. Allow some of your sons to marry some of his women's folk. Everybody understand this? وَكَانَ حَجَّامًا. Even though, and there's no longer the Prophet's words have finished, just stopped. It says, Ya Bani Bayadata, Ankihu Aba Hindin, Wankihu ilayhi. Allow this man to marry within your family and marry off to him. That's the end of the Prophet's what? Words. وَكَانَ حَجَّامًا. هذا من قول الراوي الصحابي أو الذي دونه. That's not longer from the Prophet's words. Even though he was a hajjam, he was a man whose profession was to do the cupping, the medicinal extraction of the stale blood or the old blood or the bad blood, the hijama, and your neck and your head, your feet, your knee, your back, your hip, wherever you get the hijama done. So the hadith says that the Prophet told them to do this with this man and allow the opposite. And even though he was a what? Hajjam. He wasn't someone of a noble profession. The author, Ibn Hajar, rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, Rawahu Abu Dawood, this hadith has been collected by Abu Dawood, i.e. in his Sunan. So if you have the Arabic or in English, you're going to go back to the original source of the hadith, you're going to go back to the Sunan of Imam Abu Dawood, where you'll find the Isnad, Haddathana, Akhbarana, going back to Abu Hurairah in this story. Everybody understand this? Is the exact wording that is found in Abu Dawood in his book? Not necessarily, because this is a summarized book from a bigger book, as we have explained. He then says, Wal Hakim, and Imam Al Hakim in his book Al Mustadrak ala As Sahihain, 405, he died of the Hijrah. His book called Al Mustadrak, and he says that this hadith, its isnad is not sahih, is not necessarily the strongest, but it's hasan. He says that it's fair, it's good, it's acceptable. So once more, the Prophet, he made an address telling the people to do two things: to allow him to marry and vice versa. And then it says that this man, Abu Hind, this Sahabi, he was a cupper. He was a person of hijama. And this hadith can be found, and there are many more, but just at least these two sources. The first is Abu Dawood. So if you have a book report, a khutbah, a class, a lesson, a story, you want to read to your family, to yourself, you pick up Sunan Abi Dawood from the shelf, volume such and such, book of marriage, kada, you'll find that hadith there. And Al-Hakim, his book called Al-Mustadrak, obviously hasn't been in English, it's not in English. طيب, you read Arabic, you go back to Kitab Al-Mustadrak ala Sahihain, Al-Hakim al-Naysaburi rahimahullah ta'ala. And he has this hadith collected in his book. Khairan inshallah, an author says, Bisanadin Hasan, and his chain is La Ba's bihi. It's not the most authentic, it's not the strongest, but it's fine, inshallah ta'ala. The highlighting point from this hadith is what? What's the fiqh that we take from this hadith?
Marry out of your blood.
To marry out of your blood. Where was Abu Hind from? We don't know. Abu Hind could have been from Bani Bayada. He could have been from the children of Bayada, from this tribe, this clan. However, Khalid, in most cases, the dhahir from this hadith is that he was what? He was outside of the bloodline. So, al-dhahir, that which is what? Apparent from this hadith, that he wasn't a part of this what? Tribe. Everybody clear on this? And secondly, it says what? وَكَانَ حَجَّامًا. He was a cupper. Okay? Meaning what? What does that mean? What does the benefit? What do we get from that in 2017, yani? Don't discriminate with regards to what? Someone's financial status, someone's occupation, someone's what? Occupation, someone's job is not a condition of what? Of al-kafa'ah, of compatibility. It's not a condition of what? Compatibility. Everybody understand? It's not a condition of what? We explained this in detail. It's not a condition of what? Compatibility. The man has this base background. He's a plumber. Everybody understand this? Methodin, a plumber. Plumbers make good money, but let's just say Methodin, a plumber, is not the most noble profession. Far from it. He changes pipes. He's in water, underground, in the sewer, someone's house. Everybody understand this? He wants to marry your daughter. Everybody clear on this? The religion, what he looks like, can he feed your daughter, all of these different things, so on and so forth. Let's put them on the side. The sheer fact that his job, his profession is considered to be what? Lowly. It's base. It's mean. This hadith teaches us is that this is not a condition for compatibility. And no one can say that my daughter is not compatible with this man just because he's a plumber. She may not be compatible with him, but it's not Islamic ruling anymore. Everybody understand this? An Islamic ruling, which is haram, or it's mandatory for her to marry someone of her what? Status. Everybody clear on this? And we've explained this last week as well. We explained this in detail. And there may be problems. Problems may arise. The woman, she's a college student, or she's in her, she's graduated, she's going to law school, she marries a plumber. Maybe problems because of their background, their education, their income, and there may not be problems. The man who also goes to law school, who has the same amount of money, if not more, he may be the worst husband ever. And she may be what? The most miserable woman with this man. Khairan inshallah. But Islamically, i'tibar al-nasab al-ansab wal-mihan is not a shart, it's not a condition for there to be equality, musawa fi al-nasab wa fi al-mihna. لا يشترط هذا المساواة في النسب وفي المهنة. Everybody understand this? Everybody clear on this or not? طيب, as we explained. So that's the main lesson from this hadith. This hadith also shows us the virtue of this man, Abu Hind. Alright? As-Sanani rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, اسمه يسار وهو الذي حجم النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وكان مولى بني بياضة. Listen carefully. He says his name was Yasar. That was his name. And his kunya was Abu Hind. And he was the one who actually cupped the Prophet ﷺ. When did the Prophet get cupped? What chapter of fiqh do we read the hadith about the Prophet being cupped? For one thing. Everybody understand this? So where would you look for the chapter of the Prophet being cut by this man whose name is Yasar? Where would we find? In this book, Bulugh al-Maram. Where would we look? Where would we look? Yalla, think. Put on your thinking caps quickly. Fadl. Fadl. We want you to guess. Kitab al-Tib. Very good guess. The book of what? Tib. Something that's even more and even bigger educated guess than that. An even more intelligent selection is what? Perhaps tijara, cupping is part of tib. It's not going to be kitab al-hijama. It's going to be tib. Something more. Something bigger than that. Ascent. The book of what? Siyam. Fasting. Why is that? Some people say hijama min al-mufattirat. Ascenta. The cupping breaks the fast. So you read the hadith. Everybody understand this? The Prophet ﷺ, he got cupped. He was cupped. Who was the one who cupped him? Abu Hind, Yasar. You found it yet, Khalid, in the book of fasting? See if you find it. See who's more intelligent. Here, yani. Here, not actually. See whose guess was more intelligent. The first or the second. Khairan, inshallah. He says, so this man, his name was Yasar. And he was the one who made hijama of the Prophet ﷺ. And very interesting is this man, Abu Hind here, he was, or he used to be a slave of this tribe and of this clan, Bani Bayada. So whether he remained a slave, or whether he was manumitted and freed, the Prophet basically told him to do what? O tribe of such and such, marry one of your daughters or sisters to this man who used to be your slave. Because of his lineage and his blood, but because of who he is as a person. That's first and foremost. The second blow is that he was a cupper, hajjam. So the Prophet is basically, in this hadith, is demolishing all of those previous things, demolishing them. Race, color, profession, doesn't matter, it's not important. What's important is the deen and the what? The khuluq. Religion and what? Character. Everybody understand this or not? And it lies no doubt, the human being is someone who, in most cases, thinks, what is happiness? We honestly, most of the time, don't know what actually is going to make us happy. We suppose this is going to make us happy. Everybody understand this? This, I have that, I got this. This one, I want a woman that looks like this height, this weight, this color, eyes like that. The outward material shell is what most people look at when they talk about happiness. But in actuality, that's not the thing that's going to make you happy. It's going to be nothing more than the egg and the yolk, what's inside of the shell. Everybody understand this? Obviously, it's nice to have an egg with a nice shell. Everybody understand this? That's what you want. It feels nice, but know one thing for sure. The moment that the egg falls, it slips out of your hand, what's going to happen to it? It's not going to crack. No, eggs don't crack when they fall. Humpty Dumpty. I sent. They what? They break. They shatter. That's the thing. Everybody understand this? The shell was only what? Temporary. It's only what? Temporary. But the thing that tastes good, the nutrition that is good for your body, whether you say the whites or the yolks, when we get into the nutritional debates, is going to be the what? The inside of the egg. That's the thing that really means something. That's your breakfast or your lunch or whatever it is the inside of the egg. And the shell is only good for a what? Small period of time. Oh, that's a nice egg. It's good shell. It's a brown shell. It's not been in an incubator. It's not full of GMOs, this and that. It's a small shell. That's temporary. The inside of the egg is the most important thing. So this is something that you have to keep in mind when you want to get married. You want to have a nice wife. You want to have a nice husband. He's cute. He's this. He's Kevin. That's good. That's fine and that's peachy. But years will go by. You have children, ups, downs. Things will happen. Car accident, injury, old age, fatigue. And these things, they will definitely what? Fade. And the only thing that's going to matter is the character of your husband and the character of your wife. She really, honestly makes me happy. She respects me. She loves me. I love her. She prays on time without me having to say anything. She would never think about going outside the house without the proper hijab. Well, how could that? This is the true happiness. So the Prophet, he told these people to marry this man who used to be a slave to them because of what he had, what was suitable, what was compatible. So don't forget these things, brothers and sisters. Obviously, try to find a balance. But don't ever forget about the what? The inside of the egg. And the shell is going to crack at one point or what? Or another. Tfaddal.
Hey, Imam, upstairs can't hear you at all.
They can't hear?
Yeah, the voice comes in and out, they said. So if we can maybe use the mic for it. Shukran.
Testing 1, 2, 3. These are check, inshallah. See if they can hear now. Bi'idhnillah. Khairan, inshallah. So that's what this hadith is teaching us. You found it here, Khalid?
Yeah, I found it.
Tfaddal, iqra.
It says here, narrated by Ibn Abbas, the Prophet ﷺ had himself cupped when he was wearing the ihram during Hajj and Umrah, and had himself cupped when he was fasting.
Sorry, read again. Narrated Ibn Abbas. What hadith number, Khalid?
Hadith number 540.
540. In what chapter?
Chapter of fasting.
The chapter of fasting.
Reading.
Narrated Ibn Abbas.
The Prophet ﷺ had himself cupped when he was wearing the ihram.
He had himself cupped. وَهُوَ muhrim. That's the bad translation, wearing ihram. And that's one of the reasons why people have so many mistakes in Hajj and Umrah. Wearing ihram. وَهُوَ muhrim. He was muhrim. Whether he was wearing it, and instead, al-muhim, وَهُوَ muhrim. Clothes of ihram is one thing, al-ihram is something else. Al-muhim, احتجم النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وهو muhrim. According to this narration, the Prophet got cupped and he was in a state of ihram. Then says,
and had himself cupped when he was fasting.
and he was واحتجم وهو صائم. And he also got cupped when he was fasting. Everybody clear? Who was the one who cupped him? Abu Hind, Yasar. Over 400 hadiths later on. Everybody understand this? Read the hadith. Keep reading the hadith about cupping now. And cupping and fasting, Khalid. That's just one hadith.
Keep reading?
Read more hadiths about cupping and fasting. narrated Shaddad ibn Aws radiallahu anhu in Arabic.
وعن شداد بن أوس رضي الله عنه تعالى عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أتى على رجل بالبقيع وهو يحتجم في رمضان فقال أفطر الحاجم والمحجوم رواه الخمسة إلا الترمذي.
Right. Narrated Shaddad ibn Aws, the Prophet passed by a man in the Baqi' in Medina, and he was getting what? Cupped. This hadith says, Aftar al-hajimu wal-mahjum. Pay close attention. It says the one who is hajim. ما معنى الحاجم صالح في هذا الحديث؟ الحجام حجام فعال. نعم جميل. فاعل is hajim. نعم. And then we have what? ها لا 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 لا. حجام is what? هي فعال. اشرح لهم. حجم ها يحجم ها حاجم فاعل, and that's the same thing as also the what? وكان حاجما وكان حجاما فعالا فعال لما يريد. نعم. We have a fa'il. صحيح? We have a what? Fa'il. Hajim. Naam. And then we have a what? Fa'alun. It's the same doer of the action, but he what? He does it often. Hajjam is also a what? He's also a what? He's a hajim. Have you got this? Hajim and hajjam mean the what? Same thing. It's just structured differently for certain reasons. طيب خير. It says أفطر الحاجم وإيش والمحجوم. How many people have broken their fast here in this hadith? 2. The one who's cupping and the one who's getting the cupping. The hadith of Ibn Abbas proves what? Just the what? What is this? What does it prove? The Prophet got cupped and he was fasting.
Never said he broke it.
Never said that anyone broke it. Him or the cupper. Him or the what? Him or the cupper. But perhaps the cupper wasn't fasting. Al-Muhim, that which is apparent is that neither of the two has broken their fast. Hey, that's a different issue. We're not studying Kitab al-Siyam right now. We're trying to show you how it can what? How it can switch, how it can flip. It can flick from one issue to the what? The next. One name to the next. One area, and that's how you learn and cluster your what? Your knowledge. Everyone understand how you cluster what? Your knowledge. Take one hadith and then it becomes 10 issues. One companion that you know about and it becomes what? 5 stories. One thing that you learned in Sarf and it becomes what? 500 other things that you read in the Quran and the Sunnah in the Arabic language. That's how you study. It's from the HadithDisciple what? School of thought. We come to study. It's a cluster bomb. Everyone, not just one. What? Everybody understand this? You got to stack it up. Everybody clear on this? Khairan inshallah. Moving forward. He says here that this man's name was Yasar. And he was the Mawla of this tribe. فهو من أدلة عدم اعتبار كفاءة الأنساب. He says this hadith proves, just like the previous hadith narrated by who? Abu Fatima bint Qais regarding Usama. This, along with the previous hadith, now you have 2 hadiths for the issue, is that kafa'a, compatibility and equality, is not required in lineage. In what? Lineage. Compatibility is required in marriage, but just not for lineage, the deen. Everybody understands? This is another proof based off of the one we took last week. Everybody clear on this? خير إن شاء الله. He then says, وقد صح أن بلالا نكى هالة بنت عوف أخت عبد الرحمن بن عوف. He says it's also been authentically reported that Bilal radiallahu anhu, he married Hala, the daughter of Auf, and she was the sister of Abdurrahman ibn Auf. Abdurrahman came from what tribe or what clan? From one thing. And it says all ilm is all what? It's all connected. Sirah, biographies, fiqh, hadith, lugha, aqeedah, it's all what? It's all connected. Weakness in one area will lead to what? Weakness in another. Strength in one area will lead to what? Strength in another. Everybody understand this? Abdurrahman ibn Auf. We don't know where he was from?
He's from the Ansar.
Ansar. Anybody else? And then say you're wrong. Qurashi? Al-Muhim. Right here, the Bilal radiallahu anhu and Abdurrahman ibn Auf from the same family? From the same tribe? No. Yet and still Bilal married his what? His sister. Hala. Everybody clear on this? He then says, وعرض عمر بن الخطاب ابنته حفصة على سلمان الفارسي. And Umar ibn al-Khattab also offered his daughter Hafsa to Salman radiallahu ta'ala anhu, Salman al-Farisi. Salman and Umar al-Khattab from the same tribe, same bloodline? No. So how many proofs do we have for this argument so far that we mentioned? 4 adillah. First one is the hadith of who? Fatima bint Qais. Second is the hadith of who? Abi Hurairah. Then we have these 2 things that the author or the Sharih As-Sanani rahimahullah ta'ala mentioned with regards to the permissibility or the impermissibility of there being a different ancestry or ethnicity when it comes to what? Everybody understand this? Everybody clear on this or not? In marriage and non-Islam. Khair inshallah. We'll stop here tonight bidnillahi ta'ala with regards to Bulugh al-Maram. Please, brothers and sisters who are online, disciples worldwide, in London, in Canada, in Spain, in Brazil, wherever you are, make sure that you practice and review the hadiths. Repetition, 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 and then repetition of the repeated. How many times was that, Bilal? We said repetition, repetition, repeating of the repetition of the repeated. Everybody got this? That's how the hadith will stick in your heart, stick in your mind, and you won't forget. By the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you must revise, you must review. Bi-idhnillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. Go home, close your book, close the computer screen, whatever you're watching it on, and just go over it, replay it, put it on loop, repeat it over and over and over and over again. Review, 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 and review. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala, hopefully by Allah's permission, you will not be able to forget it. Inshallah. Wallahu alam.